slightly above 100 years old. So, and we've been in this business of waging peace. And I want to say that in Africa, we are concentrating on prevention of election violence. And why we are doing that is because we have seen in almost every country, elections have, or what is perceived, or the narrative is that we are always fighting during elections. There's always violence during elections. So we say that we can actually change this. And how can we change this? Media is one of the tools that we can use to change this. And when we thought about that, then we said, who best can we work with? African Media Initiative with their coverage within Africa. We can be able to bring different minds together, and we see how we can address prevention of election violence through, responsible journalism. We can use, the media. We can use the journalists to be able to help us in waging peace in Africa. So I'll quickly briefly go through the slides and tell you why we are here. I know you have not looked at slides, so please bear with me. I'll be very fast. And I want to say that since 1990s, when we started multi-party democracy in Africa, that is when we started that. You find that elections have always been accompanied with violence. Look at Burundi. Look at Uganda, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Kenya. I can name so many. Gabon, Gambia, all of those. During elections, we always find that there is a problem. Is it because of multi-party, or what exactly is it? Did we really understand what multipartyism was? And I remember our first president, second. Our first was Kenyatta. The second president, Daniel Arap Moi, he used to tell us that multipartyism will bring ethnicity, will bring violence. Sometimes I tend to agree with him, although yeah, on that, because we have actually done that. We have actually emphasized what he told us it would. And of course, this violence is normally sponsored. Look at any country. It will either be sponsored by the government to favor the incumbent, and you can look at the map of Africa and start, seeing which ones are sponsored by the state to favor incumbent, or even from different groups or informal groups which we call militia. And these ones are politically hired by political, I can say the parties, I can say by political heads, political, the people in politics. They hire them, and we have seen this in Kenya, that there are people who are actually hired, and you see them at every violence they are there. They are the ones who will either loot, they're the ones who steal, they're the ones who throw stuff. It is, and I'm seeing this from different political divides, from the government and from the opposition. You see that. And of course, we say that this violence can also be in terms of hate speech. It has been talked about. I don't want to emphasize hate speech, what it has been. So why the media? We say that the media plays a critical role, because it exists to help societies to, exist and function. And also in Africa, we know that the media has expanded. Are we using the media in a way? The social media, the print media. Talk about those in a short while. And of course, we know what the media did. This is in Rwanda, we keep referring to it. It happened in 1994, but we keep referring to it because we have seen it, even in Kenya in 2000. I'm hoping somebody will talk about it from this perspective. We saw what happened. The vernacular media, FM stations were the ones which are used. Once you are told your people are being killed, can you, take, arms and protect your people? You find that we have actually turned vernacular radio stations, into tools of funding violence. And of course, then we ask ourselves, what role can the media play in sensitizing people? Because there is a disconnect. You tell people this in the FM station or the social media, And of course, we put it out there. We do not care what happens when that information reaches the masses. It's that kind of disconnect which we want to look at, and we look at how the media reports. We'll be looking at that shortly as the media report. And actually, the reaction of the people is what we want. What is that reaction? Are people, when you read something, how do you perceive it? If you see, and sometimes even here we say, oh my, our people are being prosecuted. What can we do? I remember what Mr. Eric Ginger was talking about. That information, how do you analyze it? And do we analyze information? We may be seated here. How do we analyze that information? How is that person in the rural area going to analyze the information they get in the media? Some, they don't even look at it. They say that we have been told this is what is happening, and they take it as the truth. So are we able to change that? Is that kind of disconnect? And of course, I want to look at AFSC, and we say that in today's world, look at every violence, extremism, even weapons, and many cases can be solved. We cannot solve it as one nation, however much we try. And we say that in AFSC, we say that look at any country where military has used. Tell me where it has succeeded. Look at Syria. Look at Somalia. And I can name so many. Have they succeeded? And we tell ourselves, let us, Mr. Eric, let us stand back. Ask ourselves, what is it that can work? If military has not worked, what else can work when we want to ensure that prevention of election violence stops? When we have, in Kenya, when we look at what happens when, I'll just use one of the opposition leader was coming. And, what we did was also tear gas, and those kind of things. There's violence when you use military, to talk to the people. Is it going to? And of course, we tell ourselves, no. Can we talk of diplomacy? Are we in Africa in that state that we can, have dialogue and we agree on that dialogue? Can we have diplomacy? That's what we keep on asking ourselves. Can we meditate? Can we have both the transitional justice? And can we use the communities to try and bring them together? And of course, in AFSC, we work from the communities all the way right to the policy maker. And we want to see, what are the communities saying? How can we change those communities and ensure that the word of peace, they can be able to talk about peace? And of course, we say that we are interdependent together. That is, you can never say that, oh, I'm in Somalia, so, whatever happens in Kenya, it doesn't matter. You are in Zimbabwe. Whatever happens in Kenya, it does matter. We are all interlinked. And if we can have a global network where we can teach peace, I think Africa also globally, they are different, to be a different scenario. So in AFSC, what we call that is that we need to bring in a sense of shared security. And it's not that security which, we talk about the military, no. Our shared security, Kennedy talked a little bit about it, is based on Ubuntu. And I also talked about Utu. In Kiswahili, we talk about Utu. That is in you, the Ubuntu in you. And this is a sense of seeing that we are interlinked. All people are interlinked. And of course, Desmond Tutu talked a little bit about it, and he was saying that I am because you are. If I'm at pain, also at pain. If Somalia is bleeding, Kenya is also bleeding. If any other country is not at peace, we are not at peace. Don't imagine you are an island of no. Whatever happens in America, it will have its effect in Kenya. And of course, sometimes back when we had the 2007 post-election violence. There are a lot of the East African community. There were so many things that went wrong. Transport could not, go through to Rwanda, to other countries. And of course, what people are saying is when Kenya sneezes, the whole of East Africa gets cold. Yeah, because when we fight, it is not about Kenya that is going to be affected. It is going to affect the other East African countries. And of course, I am also, borrowed a lot also from Nelson. And I want to say that no one, like him, what he said, no one is born with hate. No, absolutely not. No one was born hating another person. That is not how we are born. And of course, we learn this through either the media, the way we interact with people. That is how we learn to hate. And because we can learn to hate, we can also learn to love. We can also learn to, have peace throughout in Africa. And of course, the shared security, according to AFSC to us, we say that is collectiveness. How can we bring people together, to cooperate together, to be able to address the issue of peace? So we talk about inclusiveness. If you want to talk about peace, you cannot afford not to include everybody. And when I talk about inclusiveness, it is not including, having meetings here when the people down in the rural areas do not know the idea. Inclusiveness talks about involving everyone. Even those ones without a voice, give them that voice to be able to hear. And of course, these ones, I'll talk about the women. That is my example. Love women. We talk about the women, youth, persons with disability, others, there are different groups of people we would want to include. So even the minority communities, include them. If you are not inclusive, you are never going to have peace in this one. And how can we do it? In AFSC, we cannot do it. And that's why we are coming to you as media. How can we promote? And I want to note what Wangari Maathai said. I worked in her organization sometimes, and she was saying the little grassroots people, because that's what we see them, those people who do not matter. The little grassroots people can change this world. And today, tomorrow, and the day after, we are going to see how people start even movement. The little people whom we think cannot do anything, they have a voice. So in our shared security, what we want to see the benefit is that can we address our shared problems together? Can we be able to foster just relationships? Not just a relationship that we will just say, okay, we have met. No, those are not just relationships. We need to cultivate them. We need to ensure that if you are safe, I'm also safe. If tomorrow we are doing inauguration of the there is also another prayer by the opposition. And of course, that sends jitters. If people are not safe, if people cannot walk around safe, then even us seated here will also not feel safe. Yes, you may be here. You may not feel that safety. Although I'm not saying that anything will happen, but I'm saying that, if your neighbor is house burns, it affects you. You are the first person they will come to. So we need to start creating peace with that person next to you. Can we see how we can do that? If you have so that is one benefit of shared security, that we want to see the benefits. We want to see how people can come together, how people can be able to. Yes. And we want to say that at AFSC, we say that wars feed the growth of violent movements. If you start war, it is not going to help us, broker peace. No. We went, US and UN, Africa Union, Kenya, they have gone to Somalia. Tell me, have they brought peace because of putting, in a military? No. What we see is growth of movements. And of course, there is stability. And of course, they undermine our own safety. Whatever now happens in Somalia affects Kenya. And not only Kenya, it has even happened to Uganda and other places. If Burundi is not safe, this African community is not safe. If I look at AU and I see it's housed in Ethiopia, if Ethiopia is not safe, we are not safe as Africa. Look at Gambia and all the it shook the West African community. At least they were able to remove the Gambian leader. But can we say that they are safe? Whatever happens to Nigeria is going to affect the West African communities. So we want to promote non-violent approaches to reduce violence, militarism, by engaging others because we know we cannot work alone. And therefore, what do? Every one of us can make a contribution. And quite often we are looking for big things and we forget that sometimes it is the small things that you do can change the world. And of course, sometimes these are borrowed from the late Professor Wangari Maathai. And sometimes I tell myself, I may not be talking peace here, but just imagine what would happen if all of us were talking about peace. If all of us were, joined together, treating about peace. Just imagine what that power is. Remember what happened to the social media in Egypt. What that power, we can also have that power in preaching peace. And of course, we can work together through AMI and other seated. Can we have a network of treating peace? Wherever we go, whatever we are doing, can we be seen as ambassadors of peace? And that's what I'm asking you. And of course, I want to leave you with, I always like quoting sometimes men also. And today I'm going to leave you with two Nobel laureates, what they have said. In Liberia, we have Lema, who started a movement of women, to bring peace in that country during when they were going through turmoil. And of course, what she said, she was just a housewife. But one day she just said, I'm going to do something. And she woke up and started a movement. And what she said is that we are tired of war. We are tired of running. We are tired of our children being raped. We are now taking this stand to secure the future of our children because we believe as custodians of the society, that is women, tomorrow our children will ask us, Mama, what was your role in this crisis? You as a journalist, if Kenya is burning, I will ask you, in future, if your children ask you or your grandchildren, grandpa or grandma, what was your journalist in this channel? What did you do? What did you report? And of course, the other one is Wangari Maathai, the late. And of course, she said, it's the little things that citizens do. That is what will make the difference. As was planting trees, and it made a difference. And for me as Pauline, I want to say that we are tired of this election, violence in every election. It makes you get tired. I've watched quite a number of them. I don't want to say how many so that you will guess my age. And of course, I tell myself, I am actually tired because every time you have been, especially I'm talking about Kenya, since 1992, it's only probably 2002 when we did not have, the violence. 2013, it was, that overt, yes, it is there, but it's not seen. It is, there. And of course, my little thing there is waging peace. You here today, what is your little thing? What is your little thing? And of course, as a journalist, what is your little thing like to do? I'm urging you. And your little thing with waging peace, can you use your lens, your pen, or even your mobile phone to deliberately promote peace? And we can change this cycle. is not going to end tomorrow, but it's a series, of preaching peace that will be able to do that. Now I'll stop there. Because of time. Now I'm laying foundation of think AFSC shared security.